that's grown into so much more. I'm excited to share about all of our programs, and that this last year, we were able to provide more than 20,000 warm and safe bed nights to more than 3,000 clients facing a housing crisis here in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I'm proud to report that out. I always say UMA is big picture. If you're looking to be part of something bigger, you want to make an impact in your community, the trajectory of the future of our community, UMA is where you want to get involved, and you want to learn more about what we're doing, who we serve, and how we serve.
All right. And the where's the main base located and that kind of thing?
Yeah,
so.
Thanks for asking. So we are currently housed at 728 West 9th Street. That's our headquarters. And then we have a scattered site infrastructure build out around that, if you want to hear about some of the programs.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So I have a great visual. I'm going to hold it up to the camera so you can actually see that. We have found at UMA that a scattered site infrastructure is more impactful. A lot of times when you hear about homeless shelters, you think of them looking maybe very institutionalized, that they're stacked. At UMA, we have found that a scattered site infrastructure is much more beneficial to the community. As you can see on this map, we are spread out all the way across the community. We are also very intentional with the way our shelters look. A lot of times when we're doing a community tour, we'll give the address and everyone drives by. Because they're like, oh, that looks like a house. We were expecting something different. That's intentional. We're built into the community. So when you're coming back to this shelter at night, you've been at work, whatever you may be doing, you're reporting back, that it feels like home. And that's important to us to keep some normalcy. Also privacy of clients, right? That's really important to us. So the dignity, the safety, and we want it to feel like home. So just a little bit about some of our programs. As you're looking at this map, and you can find this on UMA's website, and the very first program I want to share with you is called UMA's Liberty House. That has 10 veterans at one time living on site. Age ranges, we have some as young as 23. I think our oldest that we served last year was 73.
Wow.
So a variety, all branches. These guys love, I'm just going to put this out there, if you ever want to drop off a warm meal, they love lasagna. They always tell us that.
Right.
And the one thing that's great about Liberty House is the way we come alongside veterans wherever they're at. Last year, we provided 3,558 bed nights to veterans. 89% of the veterans that came through our program completed the program and moved into permanent housing. So we are proud to report that number out. We want to be the bridge, the arc to ending homelessness. And the only way to do that is to wrap our clients with the appropriate resources and not just be a shelter that you come and stay at, to actually give you what you need to get on your feet, working, if you're dealing with mental health, addiction, whatever that may look like.
What do you think? I mean, that's quite a success rate to have that kind of placement of 94%. What do you think is the secret ingredient to make a transition into permanent housing stick? Because that seems it seems to be the big barrier for a lot of chronic homelessness is that, well, I don't know what we're missing, I guess the question is, right?
No, that's a really great question. And I think that this is something that I would say to the community that I'm just going to share with you. We encourage community tours. We love for the community to come out. You can go into each of our shelters and we talk about the depths, the layers. We dissect that more. But I think the success is, one, the staff that we hire. We're very, very intentional with who we have working hand in hand, one-on-one with our clients. A lot of our staff has been through maybe some type of addiction, hardship, mental health at one point. There may be homelessness themselves, yes. And they are able to relate And another thing that we do is we provide the wrapped resources. For example, at Liberty House, the VA comes on site.
Right.
That's a beautiful partnership. They're coming in, they're meeting with these veterans one-on-one. They're working, through different parts of the program with them to get them into either a permanent home, back in school, working through their addiction, whatever that may be. So I think, to be honest with you, I think the staff, a consistent program, and the wrapped resources is really the key in all of it. And we believe in them. The way that we love and nurture, you can ask our clients, and I'm really excited and so honored to have Consuela here with us today to be able to share that perspective of what it's like to physically be a client working through our programs, how it feels, how staff talk to you, how the volunteers treat you.
Yeah, we're gonna get to Consuela's story here after the break. Let's get to some of the other programs, because I feel like the enormity of this, to be able to serve 20,000 evenings is unreal. Keep going there.
Yeah. So the next one I would like to just share is the Journey Home program. So this is a step down program. There's 3 phases to this. And these are youth anywhere from the ages of 18 to 24. And we have 19 dedicated housing units. The one thing I love about this, as you asked, what is something we do that's a little different? We are one of the only organizations serving youth at this time. And something that's unique is we have a resident assistant living on site. So these youth
What's your definition of youth, by the way?
So youth is 18 to 24, and then anyone that was in the foster care system.
Okay.
In the foster
so
care system.
These are aging out of foster care.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep. And so they're coming to us. So the resident assistant who lives on site in the same building as these youth help them with resume building, general skill set. For example, my colleague Mark, who does a phenomenal job with the youth, he's getting calls at night. Hey, can you come teach me how to do my laundry? I need help cooking. I'm not sure what to do with the grease from the stove. What does this look like? And it's hard. We get some really hard, Mark gets hard calls. Is it okay that is it okay that I leave and go off site? Or I think I might have hurt my arm. Is it okay that I call a doctor? These youth are coming to us needing a lot of assistance, guidance, and Mark and our team does a great job of coming alongside them, meeting them where they are, making them feel safe and able to ask those questions. There's a lot of trauma specifically in that program. And what happens is that's a partnership with Family Services in Bethesda. Mm-hmm. So when they come in, they're wrapped with those resources. They're starting with their rent fully paid. We're aiding them. They go into step 2 where they're paying a little bit less. They're working or in school. Phase 3, they're pretty much on their own, getting ready to move into so there's 3 phases. So we're preparing them.
Is there something broken about our foster care system insofar as that you age out and there's nothing for you?
What are you going to say? You can, if you want, you're able to share.
Well, I'm an adoptive parent as well.
Okay.
I have 2 children that we adopted a few years ago. And yes, once they turn 18, that's it.
I mean, do you get a check?
So
do you get a bank account? Gosh.
They don't. Once they turn 18, and even to adoptive parents, there's assistance for us until they turn 18. Once they turn 18, and so they get Medicaid until they're 18. They get a stipend every month until they're 18, and once they're 18, that's it.
Okay, there's a story right there. Mm-hmm. We'll have to come back to that. Right. But wow, mm-hmm. Because I just unless you have geared up and gotten the schooling. Let's say you went to. Right. You land at university, or you've landed a trade and you get an apprenticeship. You need to start adulting.
That's right.
And it sounds like if you're not ready for adulting, especially after the trauma from foster care or whatever.
If they've gone from home to home to home to home to home, then they don't always have that resources or the wisdom to carry on in their own in their own place to be able to survive on their own. So once they get 18, if they're in a foster home and not an adoptive
Right.
home, now they're on their own.
Yeah, but again, understanding that the adoptive home, they are part of the family.
Right.
They have
Right.
parents.
Right.
It goes on. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. It's almost 20 after 4 o'clock. We're talking to our friends from euma. Stay with us. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live here at 5th and State, having these crucial conversations. We're with Jessica Gray and Consuela Williams from euma. And let's jump to the refuge here for a second, Jessica, and then we really want to hear Consuela's story. Go ahead. Sure. I'm sorry. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You're live.
so one of our programs that we run is called EUMA's The Refuge. This past year, we were able to serve 75 families, 153 of which were children. Currently, to date, tonight at the refuge, we will have 36 individuals sleeping there this evening, 18 of which are children, anywhere from the ages under a year all the way up until 19 years old.
Wow. That's amazing. So it's more geared to families.
Yep, that's
at
families.
The refuge, yeah.
It's one of the only shelters, too, that the male figure, the father, is able to stay with the family as long as everything's in good standings. A lot of times the father figure is separated from the family. We want to try to keep that as normal as we can. The one beautiful thing, too, about the refuge, no matter where the children are going to school, we work with our partners, our churches, families to make sure that the children are staying within the school system they originally started at when they came in. And a fun fact, we have a cat named Reese's, and all the families love the cat because that brings some normalcy and homey, right, fun feeling to...
I'm sure the cat loves peanut butter. Yeah, right? Just keep it away from the chocolate. Consuela, tell us how you got connected with EUMA.
Well, back in 2004, I was short on rent. I was a single mom of 7 at the time. I was pregnant with number 8, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what else to do, and so I called the refuge, and they had a room for us, and we moved
to
in.
accommodate all of you.
To accommodate all of us. We were in maybe 2 bunk beds, I think, and a couple single beds, which didn't matter, because we're very close family, and I remember pulling 2 twin beds. I slept on a bottom bunk of one of the bunk beds and pulled the twin beds over so that we could all be together.
And how were the kids about this? Going into that place.
That was a hard place to be for them.
Okay.
The oldest was 16 at the time. The baby at the time, he was 5. I spent a lot of time then, like as we were going into it, as we're moving in, apologizing. Mom, I'm sorry. Mom's, I'm trying to get it together. It won't be long. I promise you I'll fix it. And then apologizing in the midst of it, because we were there from, I believe, October of 2004 until February of 2005. So I spent a lot of time apologizing, trying to keep us organized and together, and to just, accommodate them and make them, feel better about it. But we got through.
Yeah. And what were some of the assets that were brought to bear? What were some of the resources that you were able to take advantage of when you were at the refuge?
Resources is first, I'll say it with food, because they never went hungry. That's a big deal to me as a mom, as a single mom, was to make sure that they had enough to eat, and they were warm and cozy. So they were warm and cozy, and they had full bellies. But also resources as far as I was helped with budgeting. There was always a mental health check. Pulled me into the office to meet weekly, to talk to me, to make sure that I was okay mentally, and was able to go on. They helped me find a program where I took a training class while I was there. And so I trained I became a home health aide. I already had a degree as a medical assistant and was having trouble finding work. And so they helped me find a program, GCAC.
Remember, that was a different time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, yeah.
So they helped me find, it was GCAC then.
Yeah.
But I was able to take a training for a couple months and got a certificate as a home health aide, which helped me find employment after I'd left there and was able to find employment. So there was my resource to be able to keep my apartment, after we had left there.
As you started to grow, you were employed, you're taking care of your kids. Was there a point where that the services are harder to get for you? I'm not just saying EUMA, but I'm just saying our ecosystem.
Harder to get as someone that had been homeless, or harder to get as a single mom of 8 children?
Both, I guess. Yeah,
that was where the difficulty. The difficulty was. So let me say here that when we did move from the refuge, we got our apartment. The landlord came to visit me. We'd fill out the application, and she came. That was
like Section 8?
No.
Okay, just commercial.
No, yes, just commercial. But I'd fill out the application and told her the circumstances. And so she came to visit me at the refuge so that she could talk to the staff, because I have so many children.
Yeah.
And so she wanted to make sure, there wasn't any foolishness, I'll say, in the midst. And so she came to visit. And when she got there, I was sitting at a table playing Monopoly with my children. And she went in to speak with the staff to find out if I had, unruly, unkempt. She wanted to talk about my cleanliness, and my interaction with my children. And so when she got there and we were sitting there playing Monopoly, that was what sold her.
Yeah.
And she gave us the apartment. But it is difficult. It is very difficult for women. For families, I'll say that, because sometimes it is a mom, a family, mom and dad with multiple children. It's difficult for them to find a place when they have so many children.
But it sounds like the refuge was a game changer, a reset chance for you.
It was. So I used my time. I used my time at the refuge to grow in maturity. I had a lot of time to get organized. It helped me to organize my family and set boundaries and consistency with the children. It was at that point in my life where I started getting up at 4:30 in the morning to get some time to myself, to gather my thoughts, and to be a person before, before all these little people start saying my name and needing things. It was there. That was where I learned to, I get up and then I start getting kids up to maintain peace so that we didn't have so much hustle and bustle or contention in the mornings. It was there. I used that time to grow my faith. Because yes, I had the staff at the refuge, but my ultimate source and strength came from the Lord. And so I used that time to grow my faith. I learned budgeting. That is always the biggest thing to me, because I learned budgeting and was able to sit down and say, this is what I have coming in,
We're going to take our break. We have a hard break at the bottom of the hour here. We're talking to, that was Consuela Williams. Jessica Gray is with us. They're both from EUMA. We're learning about their impact here. 4:34. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State, also live on Facebook and YouTube here. We're talking to Jessica Gray. She is the Chief Development Officer, and Consuelo Williams, who is a former client and also an area doula here in the community. It's the Erie United Methodist Alliance, euma. And we were hearing Consuelo's story here. And Consuelo, I'd love for you to kind of fast forward to now where, where you got this kind of second chance at the refuge. You were ended up in permanent housing.
Permanent housing. We didn't stay there. I am now a homeowner.
Wonderful.
A homeowner. I had 7.5 children while I was at the refuge. I'm now the mom of 10 children. The youngest 2 are 5, and they are adopted. So for me, that's kind of a big deal, going from homelessness to homeownership and adoptive mom.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And doing well. I'm working over at Hammett McGee. As a certified birth and bereavement doula, and just looking for every opportunity that I can give back to the refuge. Every now and then, whenever I can slide it into our busy schedule, I'm doing Bible studies over at the refuge. My church actually is currently volunteering this week over at our neighbor's place. They've done a week, so they'll be there until tomorrow. We were previously going over to Presbyterian Church of the Covenant, volunteering there. So every chance, every opportunity that we can find to be able to give back.
Can you take a minute on your work as a doula? Because I feel like this is one of those things people need to really understand. Again, the idea of if we're going to attack, healthy, attack any issues with babies that are born prematurely, or it is all about help in the prenatal phase.
Yes.
In addition to the birthing phase.
Yes.
And that's what you guys do, don't you?
Yes, over at Hammett McGee, it's called the Birth Circle, and we assist families. I always say families because some single moms need to know that they're a family, even if there's nobody else there. And so we stay with them throughout their pregnancy. We attend appointments, ultrasounds, offer resources in the community. And sometimes, yes, we are referring them to euma. And then we're there alongside them during the birth to hold their hand and get them through that. And we offer a little bit of postpartum care. It's just like do a mental health check. I'm big on a mental health check to make sure that people, that you're there and you're able to cope.
It's getting to appointments. It's taking the vitamins. It's eating well.
Reminding them. I had a meeting today and I reminded her, are you eating okay? How's your eating? Are you eating well balanced? Yeah. Did you get some lettuce in today? Did you take your vitamins? Enough water? How many ounces? I need to know. So
there you go. So again, life change is what we're talking about here, and really the cycle goes on as you help young women yourself in your doula role here. That's amazing work by the refuge being open for families. But you know what? You mentioned our neighbor's place and being a volunteer. That's a crucial role, and it's had a big change this year. Can you talk about it, Jessica?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for asking. And I just want to just briefly say, in regards to Consuelo, she is a great example of what we offer in our program. And we are so proud of her and the way that she has continued her journey. So we offer the resources and set you up to succeed. And she's a prime example of that. So thank you for authentically sharing. I'm so glad that you were here. So about our neighbor's place, and thanks for asking. Like I said earlier, we've had the worst winter ever in Erie. Wow. I think we're all ready for sunshine, right? But it's been a busy winter at euma as we keep all the shelters open. As you can imagine, those couple days where it's snowing horribly, everybody else gets to stay home. We got to figure out how we're getting our frontline staff to work because our shelters don't close down just because it's snowing out. So with that being said, the Community Resilience Center is now where our neighbor's place is located. That's at 450 East 16th Street. That will run through April 2nd. And this has been our first year having it at one location. So every 2 weeks, this is our 13th season. So every 2 weeks, we would go to a different church. We would pack up all the cots. We'd pack up all the supplies, the jackets, the boots, the coats, the food, the kits to test for COVID, all of that, right? The shower supplies, all of that. And we would move it. So you can only imagine how cumbersome that was on the back end for our staff. And most importantly, our volunteers. That program cannot be successful without our churches and volunteers. We are so grateful for. But the beautiful thing is now it's all at one location. It's very clean, it's large, it's safe. There is laundry on site. We have an organization that comes in and does foot care for the clients. There's a great setup as they're walking in. There's 2 large areas for them to sit and have communal or community. They have food. They can play cards. There's TVs available. There's large shower area. The men's and women's is separated, and they're not on cots. They're actually in beds. So they come back every night to that same space. Another thing that is very nice is for our volunteers and churches, they know now there's one spot, there's one place to park. It's safe, it's easy, but more importantly, the clients that are traveling from location to location, they know where they're going now. It's consistent. They know if they need to get on a bus route. Erie County went as far as clearing the walkways and being very particular and strategic with ensuring the streets and areas that were going to be used with high traffic was safe for the clients to transfer between. So there's been a lot of very intentional work around that.
It's very accessible for the clients.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And I tell you what, it is. That place is built solid. I mean, you could tell that it would beautiful. Be warm and a great place to be. Again, it is an overnight emergency shelter for the winter.
Correct.
So it begs the question: what happens to those folks come April 2nd?
Yeah,
for example?
There are other resources. So we have buses that will take them to different locations across Erie. Throughout the day, they go to breakfast at another church. They can go to the upper room. So there's other locations. That shelter specifically operates from 7 p.m. to 6:45 a.m. They're able to leave their belongings. One other thing I did want to mention while they're there is we do have chaplain services that come on site. And one other thing I want to share that we've done a lot to make it feel very welcoming. The volunteers have put certain things on the wall. We made it special for Christmas. We did gifts. We just did a Super Bowl party, right? We try to do all the things to make it feel as normal and homey and welcoming as Jesus would. Our mission is ending homelessness by making it rare, brief, and one time as Jesus would. And we always say our neighbor's place is the closest that you can get to Jesus-like work. You feel that when you're there with our volunteers, the way that we welcome them, the way that we love them, the way we pray over them. Just the way that the volunteers and churches honor them with dignity while they're there is beautiful. And for anyone that is open to being willing to volunteer, I highly encourage our community to get involved next season when that opens up. And you can reach out to our headquarters if you're interested in that for next season.
That's fabulous. Where do the various shelters connect with your rapid rehousing program that you do there? Because again, I think everyone would want to aspire to Consuela's outcome, right?
Yeah.
Of a permanent house, a home that she owns, and it goes to kind of the greater Erie community conversation over housing first. So let's talk about your rapid rehousing program first.
Absolutely. So that can be a little bit of everything. That can be someone that had a fire. It could be domestic violence. It can be anything. So UMA has done a great job with creating long-term and existing relationship with local landlords. We know at UMA the only way to actually end homelessness is to make housing affordable, right? We can't expect someone to make $10 an hour and pay close to $1,000 in rent. There's no way. We're setting them up to fail. Right. So we want to work with landlords that do have some flexibility, that are willing to maybe help break up payments, or that understand that there might be some mental health or addiction that we have to walk through. And we are so thankful for those landlords because they are a big part of the trajectory, the future of Erie building out and ending homelessness, right? So the Rapid Rehousing Last Year program that we run assisted 141 adults, 78 children, and that was 290 individuals, a total of 143 households. So think about that. 143 households without rapid rehousing through EUMA. That many individuals, 141 adults and 78 children, would have went unhoused.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So let's broaden the spectrum a little bit. Again, EUMA obviously occupies an extremely important part of this ecosystem of this. You know, there's a lot of names. There's the actual home team where there's a lot of the different folks that are in leadership at housing get together and talk through these things. There's funders, there's foundations, and so on. But, you know, if I were to ask my listeners, you know, what their main concern is, they would like to see homeless people off the streets and into housing and getting the help that they need. Yet, if we do a point-in-time survey, I think it's over 1,000 people that are identified, right?
Point in time count. Erie County
Care
Management does that. We provide the sleeping bags for that. That's an incentive for them to give information.
Awesome. And so, what is the next step? I mean, is it going to take folks like Build CDC to build 150 units or 250 units, whatever it's going to take?
No,
right?
that's a great question. And we are thankful for partners like UPMC. So Boo Haggerty's done a lot of work. Wyatt Schroeder is a consultant in town a lot of different groups are doing like-minded work, and he's bringing that together and filling in that gap, right? He's helping us all work closer together in unity towards that. But that is the truth. Housing first. We have to be able to get our neighbors and our local community facing a housing crisis into a house, right? If we are not getting them in, but also most importantly, I think something I want to just say out loud is the wrapped resources. We can get them in, but the resources are just important. And that's the difference that UMA is making. Right. When our clients are even in a home, we still are coming in and wrapping them with the resources. They need a voucher to go to the Rainbow Connection thrift store. You need clothing, you need a new couch, you need bed, you need pots, pans to get back on your feet. UMA has you. Last year alone, we gave out 732 vouchers to 50 different nonprofits and organizations in Erie. So it's not only feeding our clients and our program, it's feeding the greater community. So that's another way. If you want to make a big impact in Erie, go donate your gently used items to the Rainbow Connection.
I think that's probably the biggest.
Huge.
That was probably the biggest impact, that once we left, that they didn't leave us. That I could still go there and talk. You know, if I was overwhelmed or frustrated or something, I could still go there and voice that and be supported. And even I remember not long, like after we left, that the kids still were like going there for activities, for things, and I could still, you know, just run over the budget with somebody.
Sure.
So it was that was a big deal to be able to have the rainbow. And even when we left, and they got a truck to help me move, but they like packed the truck full of stuff. There's a garage there at the refuge where they have household items that were donated, but they pulled all kinds of stuff out of the garage to be able to make sure that every one of my children had beds, and we had a couch, and there was at least one TV in the house, and we had a kitchen table. So that's a big deal to be able to depend on them still once we've left, you know, whatever shelter we're at, once we've left it, still be able to have that support.
When you're communicating with young people of Christ, I'm thinking especially, you know, there's a lot of young people, whether they are, you know, launched from the foster system or what have you, or they, you know, they're runaways. I mean, we have this situation here in town that come the summertime, there's going to be a lot of people still, you know, sleeping on the streets, and I guess the question is, will they take a house, or what would be the best way to get them undercover and in a safe place?
That's a great question. And thanks for sharing that. It's also providing a great resource to our community. So 814 Shelter is the best way. So as Consuelo said, back when she first came, you could walk up to the refuge and say, is there a room open? Right. Now there's a process. So you call 814 Shelter. So all like-minded organizations like us, we feed the information. So clients call in, they get on a waiting list, they provide the information, and then they feed it out. So for example, we'll call and say, we have 2 beds open for veterans. We have 1 bed open for a single mom and a child at DeFazio. That's our one building that has 2 single moms and 2 infants are allowed in that building. So we'll report up, and then 814 Shelter is the feeder to us. And then we'll do an intake. They'll call and say,
I'm not sure I even have heard that they existed. This is something new for me.
Yeah. So anytime you have someone that is facing a neighbor facing a housing crisis, and they're saying, what do we do? The first thing you say is 814 Shelter, call and provide your information and get on the waiting list. That's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll be talking to an expert on the idea of youth homelessness, student homelessness. I guess there's over 1,000 kids in the Erie district that are couch surfing. Wow. And that kind of. I mean, they're housed technically,
right,
but not really.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. So we are one of the only ones serving the youth aging out of foster care with the Journey Home program that I told you about, the step down, but at our neighbor's place. So everything we do, we wrap you with the resources to get you into permanent housing. The only overnight is our neighbor's place. We have found at our neighbor's place, there's an uptick with youth. So the youngest youth we had this year was 18 years old. So that's real, right? We're saying that that's happening in our community today. Yeah. So, and the oldest we had this year was 80 years old.
Wow. What are we looking at here for the rest of 2025? Again, significant impact in the past 12 months. What would you say is going to be the key focus? Because again, this may be the hottest, if not the top 3 hottest issues that our community is wrestling with right now.
Sure. No, that's a great question. So one thing that I can share is we have a lot of local communities calling and saying, the way that you have built your programs out, for example, the scattered site infrastructure, we know that works. We see your impact. Help us understand. So UMA recently has grown into Meadville. We are running a shelter called Shelter Area Sam, where it's very similar to our neighbor's place. It's on a smaller scale, but that's operating. We also have affordable housing units, and then also units that are specific to homelessness there as well. So we are growing into other local areas, regions, in implementing our work there. And I think continuing to partner with other like-minded organizations and further even getting more affordable housing units.
I was going to say,
as they're transitioning out.
Are tiny homes going to be like an answer here? I wonder. I don't know.
Like I said, the wrapped resources, I think, are a key. We can get you in, but we want to make sure, just like Consuelo is saying, we love, come back, you need us, we believe in you. We are going to walk with you and have your back even after you're done with our programs. And that's important. So that's what sets us aside and I think makes us different. At UMA, we are simply the stewards. We're here to serve. It's your UMA. We always say this is the community's. We can do as much. So we cannot operate or run without the massive groups of volunteers. I mean, we have thousands of volunteers. We get truckloads of donations. That cannot work without you, our community. And that's real. So I would say affordable housing units, housing first is the way. And we are committed to that work. UMA is committed and behind that, and we're solid in that. And I'm really proud of our colleagues and the way that they've served this last year. And we are going to be working just as hard this year and in the coming years.
Jessica Gray, the Chief Development Officer of EUMA, Consuelo Williams, who had help there and now is making things happen here in her ministries. We appreciate you, ladies, so much.
Thank you for
sharing the story.
Thank you.
And again, we this gives me a lot of hope in our community to see this amazing work being done, and that our neighbors will have a place to stay and a roof over their heads and a warm a warm place to find refuge. Thank you so much. It is 5 minutes in front of 5 o'clock. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Stay with us.